Good morning, friends. Myself, Manoj Kumar Chitale, Assistant Professor, Hira Sugar Institute of Technology, Nedsoshi. We have already know the definition of a network. A network is a set of connected devices. When we have multiple devices, we people are facing a problem, that is how to connect them so that we can achieve a one-to-one communication between these devices. And if you look at the number of solutions we have, maybe we can use a point-to-point connections or a multi-point connections. Okay, for example, we have a mesh topology, we have a star topology, bus topology, or ring topology. In case of a mesh topology, we people are facing a one particular problem, that is the exact length of a cable we need, as well as the number of links also varies. The second case, that is a mesh. In case of a star topology also, we need the exact length of a cable from the central controller to the next node here. Okay. The same problem we people are facing when it comes to the ring topology, or it may be the bus topology. But whatever the solution we people are getting, they are not the feasible solutions. Okay. One solution we have, that is a one better solution for this particular problem statement, is nothing but a switching. Okay, a switched network consists of a series of interlinked nodes. We call them as a switches. Okay, we call them as a switches. Okay, and these switches creates a temporary connection between the nodes, okay, that are connected to these switches. Okay, and we have the nodes, that is the computers, or it may be a telephones, that are connected to these switches, and these switches simply route the packets from one node to the next node till it reaches the destinations here. Okay. When it comes to the methods that are used in switching, we have three switched networks. That is how we people are categorizing these switched networks. That is, first one, we have a circuit switched network. The second one, packet switched network. The third one, the message switched network. Okay. The circuit switched network that takes place at the physical layer. The packet switched network takes place at the data link layer or a network layer, and the message switched network, that is the outdated one. Okay. If you look at the scenario, at the physical layer, we people are transmitting a stream of bits in the form of electrical signals. Okay. When it comes to the switched network, that is a packet switched network, we people are transmitting the packets or frames. Okay. By using the store and forward method. And when it comes to the message switched network, earlier we people are using this particular method, where whenever a node sends, whenever the node sends some sort of information, we used to the intermediate node receive the message completely, and after that it forwards that information to the next node. Okay. With the invent of a packet switched network, today the inter-network uses this packet switching mechanism. Okay. And this message switching becomes the outdated one. Okay. That is the circuit switching network that takes place, that is circuit switching takes place at the physical layer, packet switching takes place at the data link layer or a network layer, Message switching, conceptually we can look at the application layer nowadays. That is, the application receives the messages. Okay. For example, we have one application that is an email. We want to see that a content as a complete message here. When it comes to the packet switched networks, that is in turn divided into two different approaches, or two different networks. One is a datagram networks, another one is a virtual circuits. Virtual circuit takes place at the data link layer, and the datagram network takes place at the network layer. And today the internetwork uses this approach, that is a datagram networks. Okay, the next one, we have a circuit switched network. A circuit switched network consists of a set of switches connected by physical links. Okay, a connection between two station is a dedicated path. Okay, here we people are establishing this dedicated path between the stations. Okay, that are made up of one or more links. However, each connection uses only one dedicated channel on each link. Okay, each link is normally divided into n channels by using a FDM or a TDM mechanism. Okay, that is, we are reserving the bandwidth in case of a FDM, that is a frequency division multiplexing, or time slots in case of a time division multiplexing. A circuit switched network is made up of set of switches connected by physical links, in which each link is divided into n channels. Okay, in this particular figure we have shown these switches here, okay, as well as explicitly shown these multiplexers that divides one link into n channel, and here we people are reserving the one channel for a transmission here, that is a transmission of a data. Okay, consider a station A is willing to communicate with a station M here. Okay, here to establish a connection, first you should and must send some sort of a request message, that is a connection request message here. Okay, and that connection request message should and must be accepted by all these nodes as well as by the destination. Once the request message reaches the destination, it sends the acknowledgement back to the station A here. Once the acknowledgement reaches A, that we have established a circuit here. That is, when a switch 1 receives the request message, it reserves the channel for it and forwards the request message to the next switch. Once the next switch receives that request message, it reserves the channel for that particular connection. That is we simply call that one as a circuit here. That is whatever the channel we people are reserving, that is called as a circuit here. Okay, and after that we people are forwarding or sending that request message to the next switch. Okay, in that manner it reaches the destination node M here, or a station M here. Okay, this particular mechanism is called as a connection set of phase here. Okay, in case of a circuit switched network, we need 3 phases for a communication purpose. The first one, the connection setup; the second one, the data transfer; the third one, that is the teardown, that is the termination. Okay, in the first phase we need to establish a connection. In the second phase I need to transfer the data. In the third phase we need to terminate this a connection. That is nothing but we need to terminate this circuit. Okay, if you look at this circuit switched network, okay, usually that takes place at a physical layer. Before the communication starts, you need to reserve the resources. What are the resources we need to reserve here? The first one, I need to reserve the channel. For example, the bandwidth in case of a FDM, that is a frequency division multiplexing, and time slots in case of the time division multiplexing. Apart from that, I need to reserve the switch buffers. I need to reserve a processing time. I need to reserve the input port as well as the output ports. Okay, and these resources should and must remain for the entire duration of that communication. Okay, once a communication is over, we need to release these resources. That is nothing but the tear down phase, the connection termination. That is, we need to break that circuit here so that we can release the resources for the different host machines or stations, so that they can use for the communication purpose. In a circuit switching, the resources need to be reserved during the setup phase. The resources remain dedicated for the entire duration of a data transfer until the tear down phase here. Okay, here whatever the data we people are sending, that is in the form of a electrical signal. Okay, for that purpose, when it comes to the transmission, we don't require any kind of addressing. Okay, the data are in a continuous flow. The data sent by the source machine or a station, and the data that is received by the receiver. Okay, there is no need of, or we don't require the addresses. We need a end-to-end addresses so that we can identify these stations. To transfer the data, we don't require any kind of addresses. Okay, the data is transferred based on a occupied band. For example, FDM, what is a bandwidth in case of a FDM, the time slots in case of a TDM. Okay, here we have the three phases. In the first phase, we need to establish the circuit. In the second phase, we need to transfer the data, and in the third phase, I need to terminate that circuit here. Okay, suppose that is in the setup phase, station A sends the request message. Okay, here each station should and must accept this connection request message, and the destination also should and must accept that connection request. That is the setup phase here. Okay, here that is how we people are reserving the channels here. Okay, each switch reserves the channel for a communication purpose only. Okay, for that purpose only we have defined this particular circuit switched network. If you look at the definition, we are establishing this connection between two stations. That is a dedicated path we have, that is made up of one or more links. Okay, here we have a dedicated links that are in turn divided into n channels, and one channel is reserved for a communication purpose. Each link reserves that channel here. Okay, once you send a request message, suppose it reaches the station M here. The station M came to know the intentions of a node A here. On that case, station M sends the acknowledgement back to the station A. Okay, once the acknowledgement reaches the station A, on that case we can say that the circuit has been established, or the dedicated connection has been established between station A and M. Okay, the next one, that is a data transfer phase. In a data transfer phase, the station A starts transmitting the data here. Okay, here there is a waiting time we have here. Okay, in this particular case we don't get a waiting time. The resources are explicitly reserved here. Once a switch receives that a signal, it immediately forwards that over another channel here. Okay, that we people are getting some sort of a minimal delay in this case. Okay, no waiting time we people are getting in this case here. Okay, once the data transfer takes place, the station are willing to terminate the connection here. That is, a node that is willing to terminate it sends the signal here. Okay, so that these switches release those resources. Okay, once a station A sends the signal to terminate that connection, each and every switch starts releasing those resources. Okay. In this example, let us use a circuit switched network to connect 8 telephones in a small area. The communication is through 4 kilohertz. Okay, because the telephone line simply generates a signal in this particular frequency range, that is a 4 kilohertz of a voice channels. We assume that each link uses a FDM to connect a maximum of 2 voice channels. The bandwidth of each link is then 8 kilohertz. Okay, the figure 8.4 shows the situation. The telephone 1 is connected to telephone 7, 2 is connected to 5, 3 is connected to 8, 4 is connected, that is communicating with the node 6 here. Okay, of course the situation may change when new connections are made. Okay, the switch controls the connections. That is the scenario. Okay, we people are using this multiplexer that simply takes input from these 2 devices, that is a station 1 and a station 4, and these 2 stations are generating a signals in this particular frequency range, that is a 4 kilohertz. Okay, and if you multiplex them, we require some sort of a higher frequency band here, that is a frequency range, that is a bandwidth required here, that is the 8 kilohertz of a bandwidth we require. Okay, to transmit the signals from both these input connections. Okay, and at the destination side I need to use a demultiplexers. Okay, and we people are sending that information to the appropriate destination machine. Okay, here we people are reserving the channels for the entire duration of the communication. Okay. Okay, when it comes to the efficiency, okay, here the circuit switched networks are not the efficient one, because the resources are reserved for the entire duration of a communication. In the sense, the other node may not use the same resources for the data transmissions. Okay, if you look at, for example, if you have a telephone network, most of the time we terminate the connection whenever the communication is over. Okay, after that the resources can be used by some other mobile nodes. Okay, or a telephone nodes here. When it comes to the computer network, okay, suppose if you reserve these resources, on that case we people are simply wasting those resources, because most of the time the station remains idle one. And here suppose if you reserve these resources for the host machines, on the case the other host machine may be deprived from getting these resources. For that purpose, we can say that this is not the efficient approach here. As well as the resources are allocated on a static basis. Okay, that is, once the resources are allocated for your connection, you cannot expand the resources, in the sense, suppose if bandwidth is allocated, you should and must use that allocated bandwidth to transmit your data only, okay, and so on and so forth. When it comes to the delay, that in a circuit switched network, okay, we people are getting a minimal delay because the resources are already reserved, and those resources are reserved for the entire duration of a communication, okay, and whenever the node receives the data, it immediately sends that information over that channel here, okay. But we people are getting the two contributing factors here, that is, one is the setup phase, the second one is the tear down phase. Even these two factors simply contribute to the total delay, okay. We have this green shaded portion, okay, that deals with the connection request message. The second, the line indicates the acknowledgement, okay. Here we people are getting the total delay is nothing but a sum of the connection setup plus the data transfer phase, and after that the tear down, okay. Here we people are dealing with one is the connection request message transfer time, the propagation delay, as well as the acknowledgement transfer time, as well as a propagation delay, the data transfer time that may take a long time here, and after that the tear down signal, okay, that is a termination, okay, it's a transmission time as well as a propagation delay. All these factors simply affects the delay here, okay. Maybe we people are getting the minimal delay here, but we people are getting some overhead because due to this connection setup and a connection tear down. Switching at a physical layer in the traditional telephone network uses the circuit switching approach. The next one, we have a datagram networks, okay. In a data communication, we need to send the messages from one end to the another. If the message is going to pass through a packet switched network, it needs to be divided into packets of a fixed size, or it may be a variable size, and that the size of the packet is determined by the type of a network and what protocol we people are using here, okay. In the sense, here in datagram networks, we people are not at all reserving the resources, okay. For example, bandwidth, a processing time, the buffer space, all these are not at all reserved, okay. And whenever we send some sort of a packets, the packet should and must remains in the buffer space for a certain period of a time, okay. Suppose if that particular switch is providing the services for other packets from the other flow, okay. Here the switches treat these packets in the same manner, and we people are providing the services to these packets on a first come first serve basis here, okay. In this topic, we people are going to discuss the routing table, the efficiency, delay, as well as the datagram network in the internet. In a packet switched network, there is no resource reservation. The resources are allocated on demand. On demand in the sense, when we have a packets, then only the resources are allocated. Otherwise, the packets are discarded here, okay. Suppose your packet is expecting, for example, suppose you are transmitting some packets and there is no buffer space at the switch here. On that case, the switch simply discards that particular packet, okay. Here we people are not at all allocating the resources, Okay, sorry, we are not reserving the resources. These resources are allocated on a dynamic basis here, okay, on demand. Whenever we have a packet, then only the resources are allocated for that packet, the packet transmission takes place. Okay. Here we have in this particular figure we have a switches. Okay, those are nothing but the routers. Okay, and these routers route packets from one node to another node. Okay, here in this picture we have a node A is willing to send some sort of a packets, that is 4 packets. First packet, second packet, third packet, and a fourth packet we have. Okay, and node A is willing to send these 4 packets to node X here. Okay, all this packet may belong to one particular message M here. In turn, that message M is divided into 4 packets. Okay, when this packet traverses a different paths to reach the destination here. Okay, in that case, most of the time, suppose if the switching node, okay, or the packet switch doesn't have sufficient resources to transmit that data, or the node may be busy in transmitting packets that belongs to other nodes. On that case, it forwards that information over another links here. Okay, in this particular example, for example, the first one packet, that is the first packet, traverses this particular path. Okay, here in this particular path, the second packet traverses another direction, the third packet traverses another path, and the fourth packet traverses another path here. Okay, because of this, the packet traverses different paths to reach the destination. The destination may receive the out of order packets, and for that purpose resequencing is necessary at the destination. Okay, here these packet switches treat the packets as a independent one. There is no logical, maybe the packets belongs to the same message M here, but there is no connection between the first packet and the second packet. These packet switches treat these packets as a independent one, and they forward these packets, okay, over the datagram network, and this packet traverses different paths to reach the destination. Because of that reason, the destination node receives the out of order packets. As well as we have already mentioned, we are not at all reserving the resources in this particular approach, that is a datagram networks. Okay, suppose if the packet didn't get these resources, on that case the packet switch simply discards those packets. Okay, suppose at this particular switch we don't have a buffer space, the first packet will be discarded. Okay, the first packet will be discarded or lost. Okay, and we need to take certain measures about these lost packets. Okay, that is left to the upper layers, that is nothing but a transport layer and the application layer. They should and must inform the source machine to retransmit those packets here. Okay, here the out of order packets, the destination requires receives out of order packets. Resequencing is necessary at the destination side. In some cases, the packet drop occurs or a packet loss occurs. On that case, the upper layer should and must take the necessary actions. That is, you should and must instruct node A, that is source A, to retransmit those packets. When it comes to the routing, in this particular approach, that is a datagram network, we people don't have a connection setup, that is a setup phase, as well as a tear down phase. We people are getting one particular question or a problem, that is how a node routes these packets. Okay, each packet switch or router simply maintains the certain information in the form of a table. Okay, we simply call that one as the routing table. Okay, each node forwards the packet based on the destination address here. Okay, and that routing table, the routing table entries that carry the routing table content is based on the destination address only. Okay, whenever a packet switch receives the a packet, it first checks what is the destination address. Based on that, it forwards the packet to the next node. Okay, each routing table, a routing table consists the destination address and through which particular output port we need to forward that packet. That is nothing but a route packet here. Okay. In a switch in a datagram network uses a routing table that is based on a destination address. Okay, and what kind of a address we require here? The packet consists the header portion. That header in turn consists two information that is used for the transmission. Okay, transfer of packets, we can say that. Okay, that is we have a source address as well as we have a destination address. Okay, and these two information remains same. Okay, same during the entire journey of the packet here. When it comes to the efficiency, we can say that this particular approach is a efficient one than the a circuit switched network, because the resources are allocated on on demand. Okay, so that the other host machine, other nodes are able to use these resources. Okay, when it comes to the delay factor, the delay in this particular network, we people are getting some sort of a larger delays, we can say that. Maybe we don't have the connection setup phase as well as the tear down phase. Okay, as we people gone in a circuit switched network, or it may be in a virtual circuit. Here we people are transmitting that information immediately, but when it comes to these packet switches, okay, your packet has to wait for a certain period of a time over these switches. Okay, here the packet traverses different paths to reach the destination, and each packet gets a different amount of a delay that is based on a traffic that is present over that particular links also. Okay, the one packet wait for a for example 5 seconds of a delay. Okay, in another switch the same packet experience 10 seconds of a delay. Okay, and that waiting time may varies based on the traffic load. Okay, the total delay in this particular case, okay, as we divide that message m into number of chunks, that is a packet, we transmit those packets over a network. Okay, when it comes to the packet transmission, we people are facing these three in this particular scenario. The node A as well as node B are communicating with each other over these two hops. Okay, that is a router 1 and a router 2 here. Okay, and here node A sends a packet that it has to reach the destination over these 3 hops. Okay, for that purpose we need a 3 transmission times, okay, as well as 3 propagation delays. Okay, apart from that, this is this packet has to wait at this particular switch, that is the first switch, for a W1 period of a time, and the same packet has to wait over the second switch for a W2 waiting period of a time here. Okay, and the total delay that is incurred in datagram network, that is nothing but a 3 transmission time of these packets, 3 propagation delay of these packets, W1 plus W2. Switching in the internet is done by using the datagram approach to packet switching at the network layer. Take a small break here, and we will start this session soon. Okay. Hello. Okay. Okay. Welcome back. The next topic we have, that is a virtual circuit network. Okay. A virtual circuit network is a cross between a circuit switched network and a datagram network, and it has some characteristics of both. That is, we can say that it is the hybrid approach we people are using. Okay. Here when it comes to the virtual circuit, okay, the virtual circuit takes place at the data link layer here. Okay. And here we people are reserving the resources as we have discussed in the circuit switched network. Also you can allocate the resources on a dynamic basis also, that is on demand resource allocation, as in case of a datagram approach. Okay. The data here is a packetized one, and whatever the header we people are attaching to the frames here, okay, that the header portion consists certain addresses, okay, that are used to transfer the packets from one switch to another switch here. That is that the header portion consists a value called a VCI, that is a virtual circuit identifier, that is used to transfer the packet between these switches here. Okay. And all the packets follow the same path here. All the packets follow the same path here. Okay. In this topic, we people are going to discuss the addressing, 3 phases, what phases we have when it comes to establishing some sort of a circuit, that is a virtual circuit between the 2 nodes or 2 stations, the efficiency as well as the delay. Okay. We have the virtual circuit network. Okay. Here we have the stations, okay, the source as well as a destination, maybe your computer, or it may be a switch, or it may be a router, so on and so forth. Okay. That in turn connects or any other a device that connects a host to other networks here. Okay. In a virtual circuit, we people are using 2 types of addresses. Okay. One is the global addresses, another one is the VCI, that is a virtual circuit identifier. The global addresses we need so that we can identify the source as well as destinations uniquely over a network. Okay. Or sometime the network may be a part of an international network, so that we need to identify these host machines uniquely over a network. And these 2 addresses that are used for a establishment of a connection between the 2 nodes here. Okay. The next one we have the virtual circuit identifier. This virtual circuit identifier, or we simply call them as labels. Okay. These are used to carry the data between the switches here. Okay. These VCI values have a local a scope or a switch scope, we can say that. Okay. The available a small value is selected as a virtual circuit identifier. Okay, when a switch receives a frame, it has a VCI value. When it leaves the frame, it has another VCI value here. Okay, and these VCIs, that is a virtual circuit identifier, that are used to carry the frame from one switch to the next switch. Okay, that is, this VCI value is used to carry the frame between two switches here. Okay, here what kind of the table entries we people are maintaining in case of a virtual circuit NAVAL. Okay, each switch should and must maintain a set of information, that is through which particular port the packet is coming, as well as what incoming VCI value, what is a outgoing port, and what is a outgoing VCI value. Okay, based on this, we people are forwarding the packets here. Okay, based on this table, that is how we people are reserving these resources. Okay, we people are establishing the dedicated path between the two stations here. Okay, the end systems, these end systems are connected to these switches by using a dedicated links here. Okay, and we people are trying to establish the dedicated path between the two stations. For example, A is willing to communicate with B, it is transmitting the information over this upper path. Okay, that is switch 1, switch 2, switch 3 and switch 4. We people are building some sort of the circuit, that is a virtual circuit between these two nodes A and B here. For that purpose, we each switch should and must maintain this information, that is a incoming port value, incoming VCI value, outgoing port value, as well as outgoing VCI value. Okay, here whenever before the communication takes place, first we need to establish the connection between the two nodes here. That is, when it comes to the virtual circuit also consists the three phases. Okay, for the communication purpose. Okay, the first one, that is the connection setup, the second one the data transfer phase, the third phase, that is a tear down phase. Okay, that is very similar to the circuit switching approach. Okay, and this VCI value, okay, that is used to transfer the frame from one switch to the next switch. Okay, when a switch receives a particular frame, it has a VCI value. When that frame leaves that switch, it has another VCI value here. Okay. During the connection setup, we people are trying to fill these entries. Okay. If you look at this particular diagram, that simply shows the source to destination data transfer in a virtual circuit network. Okay. The station A sends a frame here, that is a data with a VCI value 14. Okay. Once it reaches this particular switch, that is the first switch, the switch visits its table and checks for which particular port it has to forward that data. Okay. For the packet that is coming through this particular port with this particular VCI value, that is a virtual circuit identifier, I need to transfer this particular packet over a port 3 with a VCI value 66. That is, it transmits that packet that frame over the third port and with a VCI value 66. Okay, that this particular switch inserts this 66 value onto this particular field. Okay, it removes this VCI value and appends the next VCI value here. When the next switch receives that information, the next switch receiving this particular frame through this particular input port, that is a port 1 with a VCI value, it is matching with this entry, so that it immediately forwards the packet over this particular link, that is over a second port with a VCI value 22. Once the third switch receives the frame, it checks the VCI value and forwards that information through this output port here. Okay. Here, whatever the VCI value we people are using, okay, this is how we people are establishing some sort of a virtual circuit between the two stations. Okay. We are reserving the resources here on a on demand, we can say that, or during the connection setup phase here. Okay. Both the approaches we can use. Okay. Suppose if we are using the later approaches, on that case the packets will get the different amount of a delay here. In case of a first one, there is no waiting time for the frames here. Okay, we people are trying to know how we people are building this table entries. Okay, here during the setup phase, node A sends the request message to node B here. Okay, here node A sends a request message. The first switch receives that request message. Okay, the first switch receives that request message, and it fills the 3 entries, that is a 3 column information in the table here. That is, it is receiving this particular frame through the first port. It selects one available VCI value as a 14, and it transmits the frame through the third port. Okay. At this particular stage, this packet switch acts as a the router or a packet switch. It has already know how to forward this request message to this destination. Okay. For that purpose, we people are sending that information through this particular port, that is a 3. Okay. Here, whatever the VCI value we people are selecting, that is the available VCI value. Okay. The request message reaches the switch 2 here. Even switch 2 fills these 3 entries, that is through which particular port it is receiving the data or a frame here, that is the first port. The VCI, even it selects a available VCI value, that is a 66, and through which particular port it is sending that request message, that is a 2. Okay. And it does not fill the 4th column information. Once the request message reaches the switch 3, even the switch 3 fills these 3 column information, that is a incoming port value, it selects a random VCI value, that is available VCI value to a 22, and outgoing port, that is a port 3 here, through which this particular port we people are sending that request message to node B here. Okay. Once node B receives that request message, it came to know that node A is willing to communicate with node B. That is the intentions of a node A here. Okay. For that purpose, node A selects, if it is willing to communicate with the node A, it sends the acknowledgement. Okay. To send this acknowledgement, first it selects the VCI value, that is a virtual circuit identifier. Here it selects the 77 and sends that acknowledgement, filling that information into the header here. Okay. Once switch receive that acknowledgement, that is whatever the VCI value it is selecting, that indicates that all the packets from A should and must have a VCI value of a 77. Okay. And it sends the acknowledgement to switch 3. The switch 3 receives that acknowledgement and fills this outgoing VCI value as a 77. Okay. Here the switch 3 fills this 77 value as a outgoing VCI value. Okay. and sends its incoming VCI value, that is a 22. Okay, its incoming VCI value, that is a 22, by putting it into the header and sends that acknowledgement to the switch 2. Now the switch 2 fills this outgoing VCI value as a 22 here. Okay. Now the switch 2 sends its incoming VCI value, that is 66, by putting it into the header and sends that acknowledgement to the switch 3 here. The switch 3 fills the outgoing VCI value as a 66. The switch 1 sends the acknowledgement to the node A here by putting its incoming value 14 here. Okay. Once A receives the acknowledgement, it has a VCI value, that is a 14. Okay. That is A starts generating frames with the VCI value 14 here. Okay. That is how we people are filling this the table entries. Once the acknowledgement reaches the source node A here, we have already established the virtual circuit here. Okay. That is how you people are reserving these channels, okay, over a network. Okay. We are immediately forwarding these frames here. Once you receive a packet with the incoming port 1 here with the VCI value, immediately we people are forwarding it through a outgoing port 3 with the VCI value 66 here. Okay. This is how it looks like. Okay. Once the acknowledgement reaches the destination, it receives the VCI value 14. Okay. Now the station A starts generating the data here, that is the data transfer phase. Okay. In a termination phase, it removes the once the data transfer over, the station simply terminates that the connection. That is, you are instructing these switches to release these reserved resources here. Okay. Here A starts generating a packet with a VCI value 14 only. When a first switch receives the packet, it immediately forwards that information to the next switch over this particular port, that is through this port, that is a port number 3 with a VCI value 66, and so on. Okay. The second phase, we have a data transfer phase. In a data transfer phase, the data exchange takes place between node A and node B here. Once a communication is over, we people are moving to the third phase, that is a tear down phase. In a tear down phase, we people are instructing the switches to release the reserved resources here. In a virtual circuit switching, all packets belonging to the same source and the destination travels the same path here, but the packet may arrive at a destination with a different delay if the resource allocation is on demand. If these resources are allocated during the virtual circuit, the packets will receive the same amount of a transmission delay. Suppose if the resources are allocated on demand, on that case the packet will reach the destination with a different delays. Okay. When it comes to the efficiency, we already gone through that one particular statement, that is resources are allocated. We are allocating the resources on as in the circuit switching approach, as well as we can allocate resources on a demand basis also. Okay, that is one advantage we people are getting here. That is, before reserving the resources, we can check the availability of our resources here. Okay. Here the end-to-end addressing is required here. Okay. End-to-end addressing is required for establishment of the connections. Okay. That is a virtual circuit here. Okay. The total delay that is incurred in a virtual circuit network. We people are not at all getting this the different waiting times here. Okay, whatever the overhead we people are getting here, that is due to setup phase and a tear down phase. Okay, to transmit this particular packet or a frame, we need a 3 transmission times, that is a 3T. Okay, we need a 3 propagation delays, that is a 3 propagation delays. After that, the setup delay plus the tear down, that is a total delay that is incurred in this particular approach, that is a virtual circuit networks. Okay, on this particular topic, you will get some sort of a questions on a with the need diagram explain a virtual circuit network. The second one, with need diagram explain the datagram networks and compute the delay incurred in these networks. And after that, you will get a define switching, explain circuit switching networks. Okay, you need to explain these networks properly. Suppose if a circuit switching and a virtual circuit network have a 3 phases, that is a setup phase, data transfer phase, and a tear down phase, that is a terminate phase, we can say that. Okay, you need to explain all these phases. Okay, in another point here, in a circuit switching network, we need the end to end addresses that are used, that is these addresses used for a establishment of a connection. Okay, even when it comes to the circuit switching, virtual circuit switched networks, even we need the end to end addresses, even those addresses that are used for the connection established purpose only. Okay, after that, we people are transmitting the data based on these VCI values. Okay, based on these VCI values only. Okay, in the next session, we people are going to deal with a data that is a data link layer function, that is a error detection and correction. Okay, thank you.